I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. Whatever. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values or feelings or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another office hour stream. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Hopefully everybody's had a great week, and happy Advent to those of us who celebrate Advent. Well, technically tomorrow's the first Sunday of Advent, but for Sound Engraver and I, who go to the Vigil Mass on Saturday evenings, we've already begun our Advent. So welcome everyone. Also, I just have to say too, again, I don't know where he is now. I hope he's doing well. I've got his email address somewhere. I can look him up. But thanks to Stephen Cruz once again for that awesome intro. And again, he wasn't making it to be an intro. I know a number of people have commented on the mixing of it. You should hear my voice should be a little boosted or whatever. He wasn't really trying to make an intro necessarily. He just took a snippet of just a live stream like this, one of my talks, just going over and talking about things that were important to me, and he cut it together over a beat that he came up with there, and it was so cool. I thought that's a pretty sweet little channel teaser. It's pretty much the gist of everything I say. Consume stories responsibly. So I thought that was great. So I just use it as channel teaser, but hope he's doing well. Just wanted to shout out Steven Cruz. He's a musician. He's doing some pretty sweet stuff too. So hopefully he's doing well. Welcome to everybody here in the chat. Let's see, we got Ghost Planet Max Inc. 1.0. A troll, great to see you there. Eldritch Fan, good to see you. Darth Enigma, hope is what makes us strong. It is why we are here. It is what we fight with, and when all else is lost. Pandora from God of War 3. Starting to play those God of War games. I know I could just pick up God of War 3, but I kind of want to start from the beginning, or at least do God of War 2. I don't know. I'll get into them one day. It's on my list because I like the premise idea that I've read. Eldritch Fan says, can we win this? What are the victory conditions? That is a good question. That's kind of, I won't go into that too much right now. I'll wait until I can explain everything. Private Eye, great to see you there. Divinital Kayan, always welcome. Big Al popped in just to say hi. Always good to see from Big Al. Final Fantasy fan, Zach Tan, Leia Plus Size, my dear Sound Engraver. Yeah, she's doing thank you cards. We still need to do the thank you cards for our wedding gifts. And I thought, it's about getting to be Christmas card season. We really need to get thank you cards out to people before we send Christmas cards. And she has, she claims it's more aesthetic handwriting. I will grant her handwriting is very nice and very legible. Mine's not legible, but I think mine's pretty aesthetic. my cursive handwriting looks like a founding father or something, You can't read it, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty. Anyway, she's the undisputed one that needs to be writing the thank you card, so she's taking care of that for us. Great to see everybody else there. Imaginative Hobbyist, Owen Lister. I won't just keep reading because I'll go on forever and ever. Andre Hernandez. Welcome, everyone. So, Merry Christmas or Happy Advent for those of us here. Spidey Rule says, hope you were good this year. Otherwise, you'll get onions in your stockings. Oh, man, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. We were doing some grocery shopping today after Mass, and Sound Engraver bought an onion because she eats them. Whatever. But I was taking the groceries out of the bag and putting them away, and I accidentally grabbed the onion without thinking. I was like, oh, I touched it. I had to go bleach my hands. So, gross. Onions are horror. Why are they here? Anyway. How do I want to break into this topic here tonight? I recently came across a channel, which has been a channel for a long time, but it just started showing up in my, recommendations on YouTube. And I watched, maybe 3 or so videos. I don't know exactly how you pronounce the name. Endymion. I think probably Endymion is how you pronounce the name. You guys might know of him. He's probably old news. He's a huge channel, Endymion. And he talks a lot about some of these things, that I've talked about. He more though covers kind of every little bit of news that comes out. And I can't, I'm not going to necessarily say, oh, I'm in full agreement with his channel because I only watched a few videos, but I really liked what he said in those few videos. It seemed really great. The last video I watched, though, posed a question to me, and it got me thinking about possibly, our topic tonight. And he was covering the news recently about Bob Iger. He is, he admitted to, was he talking to the stockholders or Disney or whatever? He admitted that Disney's, he hasn't really done the great coming back and saving Disney that he thought he was going to do, basically, as the CEO. And he said a bunch of things, a bunch of stupid, fluffy things that, CEOs like to say to try to, pretend they're acknowledging issues, but they're not, and they're not actually, saying they'll change anything. And he points that out really well. And Endymion in his video points it out really well, how, all the stuff you're hearing from Bob Iger is just business as usual. Just, oh, we're gonna focus on quality now, guys, and not quantity. Like, how many times have you heard that from him? Just empty promises and stuff like that. Things to pass the buck, just to placate the shareholders and move along and keep doing what he wants to do, which is preaching an agenda. I even saw, I don't know if this was part of the same um, news release, but I even saw another headline saying that Bob Iger said, we're not just going to keep greenlighting sequels. Well, I mean, of course, we've always been, really more into quality than just sequels for the sake of sequels. So, we're going to keep really asking ourselves, does this story need to be told? And, right now they've greenlit Toy Story 5, Inside Out 2, and like 4 other sequels. And I'm thinking, you said nothing. That whole headline, your whole statement there said something, then said the opposite, and then said something, and then said the opposite. This is just like, this is politics speak. This is exactly what, CEOs do. This is like the Budweiser CEO, coming out and doing his big tour, to try to change the conversation, or whatever. I mean, won't actually admit fault, won't admit to the company being in the wrong direction, and won't saying, hey, we definitely need to change this. And Demian pointed all this out really, really well in his video. But he said something toward the end of his video, and I started thinking, that's where I might diverge with him. I don't know necessarily. I'll explain. But he said, I keep talking about this, guys, because I care about it. Because I care about these movies, because I care about these franchises that they're running into the ground. And I totally agree with him there. I care about these franchises too. But he said, I keep talking about it because we need to keep, basically I'm paraphrasing, but hold their feet to the fire, really, we need to make sure this changes. And he ended up the video with basically saying, guys, we can win this. We can win this. Let's keep fighting. And I really immediately diverge from that sentiment. Now, I might be in total agreement with him when you actually get into specifics, and that's the thing I want to talk about. But that sentiment of rallying the troops, we need to keep believing, guys. We need to keep having hope. We need to do this. And again, let me just be clear. The problem with that kind of talk is that and I'm not blaming him for this. I'm just saying this is the consequence of that language when anybody uses it, is that it's not very specific. What does it mean to win this? That can mean a number of different things, but depending on who you're talking to. And depending on who you're talking to and what they think winning this means, then that reflects on how possible it actually is to win this, or if it's a good thing to actually win this, so you need specifics. So I might be in total agreement with Demian. I don't know. I'm only mentioning his name because I think people should go check out his channel. It seems like a really good channel. Again, I've only seen a few videos. He might be in total disagreement with me about other things. I don't know. But it just got me thinking about this topic, because I get blamed by that, I get blamed for being a black pill all the time. Prof, you just, you don't have any hope. You're so black pilled. And they try to shame me with the idea of, you claim to be for aspirational heroes, and you claim to like Superman and Luke Skywalker, who are all about hope, and yet you're so darn in despair, and you won't admit that things could change or whatever. There's a difference between being hopeful and being delusional. More people need to realize that. A lot more people need to realize that. And a lot of people who are just addicted to the geek news cycle are hiding behind the veil of hope. They love what they're doing. And I've talked about this before. They love when the studios release a catastrophe, and they love going to their favorite YouTubers and hearing them slam this catastrophe and that they were so stupid, these companies. And did you hear the newest news about Bob Iger? And these channels love it too. The channel love to put that out and get their clicks and get their clickbait and so forth. And they pretend that that's all done in the guise of hope. This is because we hope that things will get better. You're addicted to this tabloid cycle. And that's really what you're in there for. So don't talk to me about, you're so black pilled, you don't really have hope. You don't have hope. You're just loving this game right now. So that annoys me, first of all. But let's just imagine that's not the case, and somebody did just really want to have hope that these things were changing. how much hope can you have? I mean, we've never seen anything definitively go in our direction. Anything that seems like it's in our direction is just throwing you a bone to get you to shut up, and you can see that that's the case. That's their that's their mo. You know, you see that people try to pretend that Mandalorian, oh, that's a step in the right direction. No, it was a bone they threw you so you would shut up and get on board, and believe that things might change, that there's a civil war and everything, and not cause them so many problems so that they can go ahead and greenlight all their other garbage and their sequels and keep preaching their agenda. You know, that's what they do. So we've not seen any tangible evidence that anything's changing. But what does change mean too? This is where I differ with a lot of people. Does winning, does having hope, does, hey, we can win this, does that mean that the next Star Wars movie might actually be really good? Or hey, the next Marvel movie might actually be really good. They might listen to the fans and it might be really about quality and about. That's not winning. That is not winning at all. That's letting them get away with all of this garbage deconstruction and ideology preaching continuity that they've established within our franchise. And I tell people that all the time, like, it's not okay if they just make a really good Star Wars movie next. If Taika Waititi recaptures the joy or, fun of the originals, like he's the one that can do that. That's not going to fix it. Let's just say it did. Let's say Taika Waititi put out an amazing Star Wars trilogy, even. It was so well written. It's not winning because it's built on the same crap continuity that they put out. They're forcing you to swallow that. Just accept that that happened. Get over it. You're going to love it. Just move on. No, you've deconstructed everything precious and wonderful about Star Wars with your crap Disney sequel trilogy. You don't get to just make us accept that and then move on and then maybe give us some good stuff in the future. That's not okay. How can anybody be okay with that? And I hear people, and again, it betrays what's really important to them when they try to argue with me against this and say, look, they're not going to retcon everything they did. Okay, that's unrealistic. You can't expect that. All we can do is hope that they do this, and that. Well, then no, get out of here. What kind of soldier are you? Who are you fighting for? And what kind of, battle do you hope to win here? That's ridiculous. Don't tell me what's not possible. We are the ones that tell them what is accepted and what's not accepted with story and mythology. And if we have enough backbone, we can achieve real change like that. But I don't think most of the so-called soldiers in the battle on our side have that backbone. I think they mostly just want content. And if it's bad content, great. They get to bitch about it. They get to run to their favorite talking heads on YouTube and hear them gripe about it. No, it's so much fun. And if it's good content, then they get to pretend, see, we were right. We won. The real step in the right direction would be saying, hey, this is not, we were in the wrong with this whole direction. We're going to stop it. We're retconning that. We're going to start again. That would be a good step in the right direction. Now, let's examine a couple of cases that have done that, just to talk about what really is the direction they should go in with that. One case of that, one direction of that, and again, you can think this was a good thing or not, or a bad thing, but I think we can agree on this was an example of retconning current continuity and starting again. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Whether you love it or hate it, that was taking Ghostbusters 2016, pretending it never happened in terms of continuity wise. It was ignoring that movie, ignoring that, continuity, going back to the original two films and trying to build on that. Again, some people didn't like it, and that's fine. The only reason I liked it is because it's impossible for them to have given us the Ghostbusters 3 we deserved and we've been wanting all these years. All right, it's impossible at this point for them to do that. Harold Ramis has passed away. Too much time is gone. You can't give a proper third movie trilogy, threequel in that. And I think that what they did was probably about the best film that we could have given the circumstances, all the time that's passed and so forth. Now, a lot of people say, which I totally understand, that's not good enough. They should have done this, and there are some things, I wouldn't have even done in the movie that I think were a little bit wonky, like wanting to, and there's a divide between Egon and the rest of them. Is like, yeah, I get that. I don't think that Peter or Ray would have ever gone against Egon like that. I think that was pretty crappy. But Ghostbusters is a franchise that it's already been established that there are multiple timelines. Really, you've only got that first movie, which is the fixed canon point of all these different timelines. Because after that first movie, you had the real Ghostbusters cartoon, which worked from the canon of that first movie, but then went its own place. Ghostbusters 2 came out, the film, which continued that film canon continuity. But like I said, Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon was already on its own track. You had the comics come out, which went their own continuity track. And then you had the video game. Way before that, you had the role playing game come out, which did its own really cool continuity of the Ghostbusters International thing, the franchising. You had the video game, in the 2000 teens, which was, or 2000s, wasn't it? 2000 teens, they released the remaster. I forget when the year it originally came out, but that was an amazing, that was actually written by Ramis and Aykroyd, and all the original cast came back. That's the real Ghostbusters 3. That's the closest we've gotten to a proper Ghostbusters 3, I think. That's amazing. So doing another movie that works off, the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 for me was like, okay, well, that's just another continuity. At this point, that was just another continuity. That franchise had already kind of established that it's multiple continuities. It's a very different thing than working from like an MCU or even a DC, which is the next thing we'll talk about in a moment. It's a very different thing. So again, I get it. People who hated Ghostbusters Afterlife because of this or that, I get it. I liked it because I accepted it as just another continuity, and it had enough stuff in it for me to enjoy. Now, how did I go about consuming Ghostbusters Afterlife? Did I have hope for it? How did we go about that? How was it to win in terms of getting them to retcon Ghostbusters 2016 and give us something that was, done by the same people and built off, some of the same continuities as what we had loved before? Well, if you were a fan of my channel or listened to my channel back then, you'd realize that, I even did a video in which I said, I called out a lot of these people who were seeing the previews of Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I said, you could see you could see they were about to just pee themselves from excitement as they said, guys, I'm cautiously optimistic about this. And I said, where's your caution? You have no caution whatsoever. You are just thrilled. You are about to pee yourself with excitement. You're 100% on board. And I said, to be cautiously optimistic requires some caution. And I said, I agree with the fact, let's be cautiously optimistic. And I've said before that we are so far beyond the days of giving a film a chance. That's not a thing anymore. If you still think that, hey, well, I need to go see something and just accept it on its own terms and judge it fairly, you're just a shill. I mean, not a shill. What's the word? You're right in their pocket. You're not anybody that needs to be pleased. You're going to go buy a ticket anyway. Hollywood is long past the days of deserving a chance. Filmmakers are long past the days of deserving a chance because of the industry. Even if you have filmmakers that are consistently giving us good stuff or whatever, if you have such a thing still, because of the industry and the world we live in today, you don't just give it something a chance blindly like that. How you do it, how you might say, okay, maybe I can have hope, is you really truly cautiously watch every step of it. So what I did for Ghostbusters Afterlife was I didn't get all excited. I didn't go buy my ticket for opening night. I watched every release, every little, new release about the film. I watched, the trailer teaser. Sure. I read up on it. When it became available, I even went ahead and read the synopsis of the script because I said, I don't trust you. I don't trust Hollywood. And if I'm going to spend money on this, if I'm going to go watch this movie, then I need some major assurances here. And everything I read, told me, hey, that's actually something I could watch. So I went to see it and I did like it. Now, because I like Ghostbusters Afterlife, they've got the sequel out. That doesn't mean because I liked the sequel's coming, rather, they released the trailer, recently. Just because I like Ghostbusters Afterlife doesn't mean that I'm thrilled. They've proved themselves to me, guys, and I'm thrilled about the trailer. I can't wait to go watch it. That doesn't mean that at all, because it's still the Hollywood that we know today. It's still this day and age, which is ridiculous. And as I said before, I said, guys, Ghostbusters Afterlife, for that to slip through and not have any woke or nonsense ideology in it, that's pretty heavy. I said, These vampires, these social justice, vampires, ideologues, they look for things that you love. They look for what's successful and they jump on it and try and piggyback their ideologies on it. They didn't really think Ghostbusters Afterlife was going to be successful. In fact, they were trying their best to mock that, to be against the very existence of it because it was retconning their own little ideology soapbox of the 2016 one. They were trying their best to just shun that one's existence, but they couldn't do it. It came out and it was successful. And I said, guys, be careful. If the sequel happens, now they know if you can't beat them, join them. They're going to try to ply into that to this second one, and they could pour their ideology in. So I'm wary of that with this second one. I watched the trailer, and again, because I don't have the same kind of issues with this that other people do, I look at it as just sort of another Ghostbusters timeline. I enjoyed the trailer. Still doesn't mean I'm going to go welcome it with open arms and unconditional chance. It means I'm going to continue to watch the reveals that they come out with about the film. I'm going to, once again, when the synopsis is released, I'm probably going to read the synopsis before I decide if I'm going to go see that movie or not. I'm certainly not just going to go in blind opening night, so excited. That kind of consuming. Look, I get it. I would like to watch movies like that. I would like to go back to the days where I cannot ruin a story for myself and I can go see the movie and just give it a chance and have some excitement. I would love that. But the industry isn't there. And we're at a place in the industry where going to movies like that is hurting us more than it is helping us, because it's giving them that unconditional ticket money, giving them that unconditional support, which they haven't earned yet. So, like I said, I'm a little more given to being excited for the next Ghostbusters film than I was for Ghostbusters Afterlife, because they've built a little bit of trust with me. But I need to still be very cautious about this. And I think that's the way to go. Now, let's give another example. Okay. DC. You might say, well, look, Prof, from what you said there, DC is doing everything you said that they should do. They're retconning it. They said no more Snyderverse continuity, and they're starting with James Gunn's whatever. So why aren't you on board with that? Well, a number of reasons. First of all, there's some problems with that assumption there. DC has not really come out and said, "Hey, Snyderverse was a misstep. We're definitively cutting ties with that and trying something new." DC have a long and varied history of just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. And even at the same time they've greenlit James Gunn's movies, they've still got lingering Snyder continuity garbage happening, like the Aquaman or different appearances of this and that. You might say, oh, well, that's just those wheels were in motion and they had to put those out, but they're not. They've got a long history of just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. And if they think that maybe greenlighting a Henry Cavill Superman, or whatever might make some money too, they'll do it. They've already got, stupid The Batman continuity and those sequels being made at the same time that, James Gunn's trying to make his, universe. So they're not, even though I like the fact, and I do applaud the fact, and I love the fact that the Snyderverse is dead, DC doesn't get credit for that. Warner Brothers doesn't get credit for that for me, because that's just something that they stumbled upon or finally, resorted to. Nobody there, realized something and tried to course correct their properties by any means. So they don't deserve credit for that, but I'm happy that it happened. Okay. Well, then you've got James Gunn at the helm. As I've said, is it possible that James Gunn could pull off a true, wonderful, iconic Superman movie? Hey, anything's possible. But again, in this day and age that we live in with this Hollywood industry, you got to read this between the lines, and we've got to be cautious. And James Gunn, as I've said before, is the absolute wrong person to have placed in charge of DC cinematic universe. The only reason he got the job is because Warner Brothers, again, was just doing business as usual, going, you made a popular superhero movie, you do Superman. Hey, you did X-Men, you do Superman. Hey, you did Batman, you don't want to do, hey, you did Watchmen, you do Superman. And hey, you did Suicide Squad, you do Superman. What? Where do you even, how is that even, what is your line of thinking? It's absurd. Again, like I said, is it possible? Sure, but now let's look at things that he said about Superman. And I look at, him calling him a big galoot whose greatest weakness is that he doesn't kill. Bro, you don't understand Superman. looking at the things he said. Now, on the other hand, people say that he's, drawing this from this comic or this comic, and as source material, possibly for this movie. Yeah, but they always say that. And plus, what is drawing inspiration from a comic run mean? Zack Snyder apparently drew inspiration from all this kind of stuff, and it basically boiled down to him framing a shot that looked like a frame in a comic book one some point somewhere. So that just doesn't do it for me. If and I'm very much not even remotely looking forward to a James Gunn Superman. But let's just how could he earn some optimism from me? I don't think it's going to happen. If he released the costume and we saw the trunks there, and the trunks were there, unapologetically there, that would be a step in the right direction. Now, she still doesn't get any kind of free pass from me, and I still don't think he's the right man for it, but that would be a step in the right direction. If teaser trailers came out and Superman was actually treated, at least in those trailers, with respect and wasn't treated as the big galoot that he called him, that would be another step in the right direction. If steps like that continued, I certainly would not go see it open night or even opening weekend, probably. I would definitely read the whole script synopsis first, the entire script synopsis. I'd find out everything I could about that movie before I dared spend a cent on it. But see, all those things would have to fall into line, which I just can't see happening with James Gunn at the helm, because he doesn't seem to understand Superman at all. Again, anything's possible, but that's how you have hope, right? And so many people don't want to have real, educated, cautious, intelligent hope like that anymore. They just want to consume. So, and they put it under that guise of hope. They put it under that, well, you're just black pill prof. You don't, you got to be hopeful. You got to give things a chance now and then. No, it just means that you are too lazy to be discerning. You don't want to do the work. You don't want to be smart about this. You just want to consume. So you're going to hide behind hope is the reason why you just get to recklessly consume crap. Can we win things? Yeah, but I don't think me and most people have the same definition of what it would be to win things. It really would be wiping out a lot of the structures and the systems of Hollywood right now. Disney is at least 20 years from ever being fixed. I mean, the cancer of ideology is so deeply rooted within Disney. Maybe not 10, 20 years, maybe in perfect circumstances, 10 years or something. But I think that's optimistic. There's no just them getting it right. Hey guys, they're going to fix Star Wars now. Dave Filoni's in. He's going to fix it. It's just no, that's not happening. That's not happening. Uh, don't let anybody shame you as not being hopeful or being black pill just because you're reading the signs for what they are and you're going to be smart. And you really, truly, if you truly want change, if you truly want to win this, if you truly want to see these franchises ever handled correctly, then you have to be okay to let them go. You have to be okay to say, no more movies, no more. I'm just going to enjoy the wonderful stories I already have. Give it 10 to 20 years of them maybe finally figuring out one day what's wrong, and then maybe we'll get it right. But that's terrifying to too many people to even consider that. So many people are like, "Oh, but I gotta go see the new movie." It's they can't even handle the thought of that. That's real hope. That's real fixing it. That's real change. Uh, and saying no consistently to a lot of this garbage, or at least being crazy cautious and crazy discerning and very strict about what you will allow and what you won't allow. That's the way to possibly get anything good these days. Not the way they're doing it. Not the way people are claiming to fight the good fight and all that kind of nonsense. Just not there. So that's my spiel. I will looking on the chat a little bit, and I got some other things to say, but actually I went too far up there. Let's see. Divinatokai said, people don't understand the trials of onion haters. It's in 90% of recipes. It is. It is. Excuse me. Take my pain meds there. I had this go back and forth with my mother. I probably told older channel viewers of it, but growing up, my mother used to say she would make dishes with onions in them, and she was so mad that I didn't like onions, because she's a Southern cook. And I would see an onion in a dish. She would claim that there wasn't onions in something, and I would see it. See, that's an onion. Just eat it. You can't even taste it. Well, if I can't taste it, then why did you put it in it? It's just there for flavor. Then if it's there for flavor, then I can taste it. There are all these assumptions about onion haters that, oh, you must just not like the texture. Oh, well, if you made onions the way I make, if you tried onions the way I cook them, you would like them. No, get over it. Some people don't like onions. They're vile, evil. Oh, yeah. um, Eldridge fan says, so you don't like onion rings? If I had to eat an onion ring would be the best way to go, because the batter may not be that bad, and I could smother it in some ketchup or ranch or something like that. But oh, the thought of the onion inside is just disgusting. Won't eat hush puppies either because they're gross. They've got onions in them. Ugh. Anyway, Matthew Flynn says, what if I eat an onion in front of you? It doesn't disgust me somebody eating an onion in front of me. Sound Engraver and I, we go to like the fast food joint or whatever, and she'll get onions on her burger. That's fine. I don't love smelling it, but it's just if I have to eat it, that's where the real problem comes in. The Imaginative Hobbyist said, I might be wrong, but I think Bob Iger was the one executive at Warner Bros. Who was pushing for the radically different take on Superman that J.J. Abrams wrote back in the day. I don't remember that. I don't know. I just didn't keep up with that. And I don't keep up with that kind of news, that kind of behind the scenes stuff. Warner Brothers does not understand Superman. They don't understand any of their characters. They truly don't. Not a single soul at Warner Brothers understands those characters. Not even James Gunn. If you go by any of the things he said, anything that they've done has just been pure, sheer dumb luck. It was dumb luck on their part getting Richard Donner to do the first real Superman, because they actually got somebody who understood, and that was wonderful. Anything good they've done has just been sheer dumb luck. They don't understand anything about these characters. They really don't. And it's mind-boggling. I think Warner Brothers misunderstands their franchises even more than Disney does. I don't think Disney misunderstands their franchises. I think Disney just doesn't care. They would rather change they would rather preach their ideologies than be true to the characters, but Warner Brothers, these executives simply truly don't have a clue. And it's mind-boggling. Like, how can a company so consistently have no clue about these characters who are so timeless and part of the fabric of culture? It's mind-boggling how that happens. But Warner Brothers is just truly a company run by a bunch of idiots when it comes to this kind of thing. They have no idea who these characters are. They have no idea why people love them. They have no idea why they're important. This is why they greenlit anything with a Batman logo on it. They'll let Batman get progressively darker and darker and darker till he's basically the Punisher. And the Batman, but Batman was about him learning not to be that. No, the movie was about him being that. You can slap a little smiley face on the end of it all you want, but you can't go anywhere. You can't become aspirational after being a thug who, punishes people for, pissing him off. Moving on. I'm all kinds of soapboxes today. Oh, I got a super chat. Let me grab that before I miss it. Owen Lister, thank you very much for $9.99. Said it's one of the reasons why I unsubbed from channels like EFAP, because they keep hate watching this garbage. It used to be fun, but now it's counterproductive. I agree. I don't know EFAP. I've heard the name EFAP, but I've never watched. I've never even stumbled across the channel. I don't know anything about that. But I 100% agree with you in principle there. This thing about hate watching, at first, back in the day, like you said, it used to be fun. At first, I don't think it was hate watching. At first, it was let's try to show them what they got wrong. Let's watch these things and point out all the crap in them, and let's make a big enough stink about it so maybe they'll realize it and they'll course correct. But it just became abundantly clear that they were not at all interested in course correcting. And the fact that we were going to even watch the stuff to show them what was wrong with it was good enough for them, we were going to watch the stuff. You had to buy a ticket, or you had to talk about it a lot. You had to put it out there. So yeah, it truly is hate watching now. And a lot of these channels know that, and they bank on that. They're doing that so that they can make money. Um, they know hate watching is popular, and it is. It is. I just put out this week. I cut out some videos from my previous live streams. One was about writing. The other two were reviews of different books. It's laughable how many views those videos got. For everybody that's like, stop being so negative, talk about what you like. No one cares to watch what you like. Now, I mean, it got some views, so there's some people liked it. But I put up the Bob Iger on this thumbnail. You watch, give it a day or two, and especially when I cut, the whole spiel out and put that out as its own video, it'll get massive views because people are wanting to come and hear the drama. They want to come in here. Oh, he's gonna trash talk Bob Iger, or whatever. That's what they're looking for. They don't care about actually seeking out good stuff. As much as a lot of people say that they want to seek out good stuff, I'm going to say this very politically, because you might say, it just kind of occurred to me as I'm saying that someone might say, well, what about Young Ripa? I mean, landmark, crazy successful campaign. And people were saying, hey, we want good content that we trust is not going to be preaching to us, and we don't want that content. That's true to a certain degree. But this is no reflection on Young Ripa at all. Please understand that. It's a reflection on this kind of business model, which I have no problem with, of promoting your own work on social media and so forth, and getting it out there. But you gotta wonder how much of that success is people wanting to support and make a statement, and how much of that success is people actually wanting quality work because they know it to be quality work. And there can be overlap in between there, sure. But I don't think that there's a big enough fan base who just cares about good quality entertainment and is just interested in supporting good quality entertainment. I think that fan base, I think a lot of people who claim to be that fan base are really people who like the drama, and they want to cash their chips in with their side of the fight. And I don't follow a lot of these, even Young Ripa. I know that I agree with him about a lot of things, what I've heard, and I wish him all the success in the world. I'm thrilled that he's, making the money that he is, and he's successful, and haven't read any of his stuff yet. But I mean, come on, he's getting Chuck Dixon writing one of his books. I mean, dude, I'm not worthy. Okay. You're great. So I don't watch these channels. I'm not talking about them, but I wonder, and I don't even know, does Young Ripa, I wonder how successful you can be. Maybe Young Ripa is a bad example because he's so successful now, he's beyond a point. But I wonder how successful a channel can be selling their own content if they're not consistently out there speaking against the Disney content, the DC content, and so forth, because that's what people want to come here. People don't want to just come hear you talk about your own work and the art of writing as much. Not as many people want that as they do the drama. But thank you for that super chat. Very much appreciated. Darkside Apoc said, did you hear about the new Thundercats coming out? I forgot which company who is putting it out, but the guy said he wants to go strictly by the 1985 version. I hadn't heard about that. That's interesting. I was, Soundgraver and I talk about Thundercats a lot. I think even the original show really lost the plot towards the end of the second season. I love the setup of Thundercats. Being, out of time, Thundera's gone, trying to reestablish themselves on Third Earth with the beings and races that are there. That's just a brilliant setup. Give me more of that. I didn't even mind when Linkso, Bengali, and Primira were joined. That was fine, and then they've got the Tower of Omens, and you got the Cat's Lair and whatnot. That was fine. You want to bring in the Lunatics? Sure. Okay, whatever. Give a little diversity to the villains. That's fine. But as soon as they started, they like reconstructed Thundera, new Thundera. And then when they split the Thundercats between the two, that just lost really all interest for me. There's some good episodes still here and there, but I just think that really just jumped the shark and lost the plot for what was really good and special about it. So it'd be cool if a comic run continued with that original idea. I think they tried to do it somewhat in the past or whatever, but yeah, interesting. I've got haven't read it yet. I bought it and I've kind of misplaced it actually. I need to find it, but it's Thundercats meet Superman, which I'm excited to read. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I'm excited to read that. Let's see. AL, good to see you, AL. Said I even commented. I watched them, Professor Geek. I even commented, even though I saw them already on the live stream. Oh, you're talking about my videos. Yeah, I did see that, AL. I did see your comments. I think I responded to one or two. Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't mean, and I know a lot of you who are with me during the live streams, and I know a lot of you do support that kind of idea. I'm not trying to say that, none of you watching Norbert. No, I'm just trying to point out that I'm making the observation that there aren't enough of us, me and you guys, included, who do like that kind of content. There aren't enough of us to get creators to make a lot more of that content in comparison to the drama content, or the hate watching content and stuff, But I do appreciate those of you who did watch those videos and either saw them on the live stream or supported them or whatever. And like I said, please do pick up Joe Frankenstein. It's epic. It's great. Want to support Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon all we can. I cannot wait for Ghosts of Matacumbe Key. And I do have the Monster Island back there. Actually, let me show you the Monster Island ones because I showed you the Joe Frankenstein. Stop the cam here. Do have to get up in my pajama bottoms here, so I don't want to show that off. But let me show you. I did the review of it, and I put a link to the review of it. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. Now, I forgot to double check. I think he might be re-releasing Monster Island under Compass Comics. I got the ominous press versions. So there was, and I got the big collector's edition. This is pretty freaking sweet. This is the collector's edition of the original Monster Island, which I think originally came out under another publisher even back in the day, but it's nice hardback. It's huge. I don't think I've got him sign this one. I think he signs the art book that I got, but really great. It's black and white, but it's got that kind of gradient, it's really good. Wonderful, wonderful comic. I really loved it. And then I picked up the Return to Monster Island, which is nice hardcover too, nice, good quality, but that's the follow-up story. And this one's in color, actually. Great Graham Nolan art. Graham Nolan's one of those rare artists who can actually tell a story too, actually write as well. Of course, the golden team is him and Chuck Dixon writing and art, but really great stuff. So Monster Island is apparently supposed to be part of the Compass Comics universe, which I'm very excited about. Hey man, talk about a with some comics out there to get excited about. Compass Comics, for crying out loud. I mean, these are proven. We've got so many good stories that have already come out, like Joe Frankenstein, Monster Island, Ghosts of Matacumbe Key should be good, and they're sharing that. It's its own comic shared universe. This is great. Talk about a viable option to DC and Marvel. I just hope that they start getting out books a little more quickly, to try to get back to the old model of a book coming out every month or something like that. But really great stuff. I mean, go check out Compass Comics. That's great stuff. Eldritch Fan for $2 said the DC animated movies have some wins. They absolutely do. the old DC animated movies. I'm vehemently against everything once they did the New 52 continuity. I hate the fact that they started adapting all of these big, iconic, wonderful graphic novels that we'd been calling for them to adapt in animated form. They started adapting them within the New 52 continuity. The Death of Superman 2-part movie was BS, total garbage, because it was riddled. Even all the good stuff they put in it was riddled. It was bogged down with that New 52 garbage, the garbage designs and the garbage continuities that were hangover. They did a film version of Batman The Long Halloween. This is how clueless Warner Brothers is today. And then I'll get back to your point. They did make some good animated movies back in the day. Hey, I even like Superman Doomsday. A lot of people are like, it's not the Superman. No, it's not. It wasn't really supposed to be, but I thought it was good. Green Lantern First Flight, wonderful. Or some of the other ones they did. Oh, of course, like the Batman Under the Red Hood was good. Looking at my collection over there. Yeah, I liked a lot of the stuff they did. Of course, the shorts, the Superman Shazam, those were so great, and those DC All Star shorts were wonderful. But they did Batman Long Halloween, and okay, what's so great about Batman the Long Halloween, the comic book, right? Aside from the wonderful, art by Tim Sale, which is utterly lost in the animated form. They don't even try to harken back to that art style. Don't even try to. What's so great about the book is that it's a film noir. It's a Batman hard-boiled detective Batman, a film noir Batman story. It's wonderful. You got a classic MacGuffin, you've got everything. The movie, they said, let's do it as a two-parter, and they crammed so much garbage in that's not in the original. They made Batman learning how to be a detective. So, Harvey Dent and Commissioner Gordon, they have to teach him how to be a detective. Are you freaking kidding me? Way to just utterly gut everything good about that book. And see, these are the kind of animated adaptations they're putting out now. So they're supposed to be doing Crisis or whatever. Have fun with that. I'm not interested. But as you say, they had some wins, and those wins were great. So we can always go back and watch those. Definitely. Eldridge Fan said Thundercats is a retelling of the Aeneid. You're right. It is in a lot of ways. That's a good point. That's actually it'd be a fun to do like a comparison. I'm sure some YouTubers out there have done that. It is a good comparison of the Aeneid. The only problem is Aeneas was wanting to go back home. And I don't like the idea of the Thundercats having a new Thundera to go back to. I like the idea of them reestablishing their sort of Thundera on Third Earth there a little bit. That's just my take on that. But yeah, great analysis, or great observation. Luis Sanchez says, what are your thoughts on Godzilla versus the Justice League? Yeah, I heard about that. Fan Man was actually like, can you believe they're doing that? I just don't trust the people doing DC animated movies right now. And now I don't know anything about it. I know they announced it. Did they ever actually release a trailer? I don't know. And thank you for the super chat, by the way. There, if the idea of it could be good, I don't think I like crossover things like that. They've done great ones in the past. I like a lot of the ones they would do with the Archies, because I like the Archie comics, believe it or not. And they did Archie meets the Punisher, and it was darn good. They did Archie versus the Predator. They did I love the one they did recently, the Archies meet Harley Quinn and Ivy. That was fun because like Betty and Veronica get roped into like Harley and Ivy's thing. It was fun. So crossovers can be great. I'm not anti crossovers. I think they can be written poorly just for spectacle. But Godzilla versus Justice League sounds like a fine idea. I would have to very cautiously look into the different aspects of it and the reveals. Like I said, I don't know. They could have already put it out by now. I'm just so not into the loop, of news these days. Spidey will say, yeah, did they seriously forget that Batman has had had years of training? What could Gordon or Dent possibly teach him that he didn't already know? It's ridiculous. That whole movie took the concept, it took the basic misunderstanding that people have of Batman, which is they want him to be a ninja thug. They want him to be a paramilitary ninja out there just to beat up some bad guys. That's all most people care for when they say Batman. But he's a gothic detective. He's a Dark Knight, Knight, and he's a gothic detective. And that's what he honed for all those years. He didn't just, just like Chris Nolan, he didn't go off to learn how to be a ninja, and he learned more ninja stuff. And then he went over here to learn more ninja stuff. No, he learned how to fight, but he was also learning how to hone his mind and be detective and stuff like that. Doesn't need to come back and get Gordon to teach him how to. That's utterly ridiculous. Those movies were they betrayed every kind of misunderstanding that the current DC animated team has for these characters. It really ticked me off. Andre Hernandez, yeah, have you read the I did like the Batman TMNT crossover, and I have the movie, and I keep forgetting to watch it. So I'm glad that you said that, because I've heard good things about the movie. I'm going to watch it. And see if it's any good. I've heard it's good. I hope it's good, because it's hard to get a good incarnation of the Turtles now these days too. So I'm hoping for that. And I'm glad you reminded me of it. I'm going to watch that on my winter break, because I've got one more week of teaching, and then it's blissfully over and I get a freaking break. So I'm very excited about that.
Matthew Flynn, Gladiator of Kaun. Thank you for the 10 pounds there. So the last time I mentioned the Warhammer 40K Space Marine game, I forgot to mention there are plenty of books and comics as well, but the newer comics are made by Marvel, so I would approach with caution. Good point. I did know that Warhammer 40K was I did know that it was sort of a cross media, I don't know what you call it, continuity or universe. I think they've got different stories and all kinds of different genres sort of with it, sci-fi, fantasy, whatever. It's just something I've never broken into yet. I might like it. I might like some of it. It's just something I haven't had the time or the chance or the motivation or the interest in the moment to break into. Things people have told me that it's not off the table. I could maybe get into that or try it, and maybe like something or not. But it's just something so big and so vast, and I don't have the time or the know-how to know just where to crack into it. And with that kind of stuff too, Warhammer's not quite this bad, but it's almost like anime fans. They come on way too strong with their recommendations. Prof, I'll tell you where to get into it. Listen to me, Prof. It's like you're clearly more about wanting to show how great of a fan you are than actually helping me break into this. So it's just, one of those things that I'll need to approach on my own and I'll need to crack into it on my own. But I do appreciate you telling me about it and reminding me about it because yeah, it's not something I think about all that often. So appreciate that. Thank you. Believe it or not, in about 10 minutes or so, I'm actually coming up on my hour window here of streaming energy. Me, my hopeless introverted self and my social energy. Spidey Rules says he learned all kinds of things during his journey around the world. He's essentially a jack of all trades in terms of skill set. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the brilliant thing, the fun thing about Batman. Now, yes, he would still have to learn some things in the application of bringing it all back to Gotham and learning how to be it, and then learning that, when the bat flies through his window as it's supposed to, and he thinks about, criminals are cowardly and superstitious lot and so forth. So he learns a lot about how to actually apply it on the streets, and that's fine. I liked Batman Year One. For my money, one of the only good things that Frank Miller ever really wrote in terms of character continuity, though I hear he wrote some wonderful Daredevil stuff I need to read, but I haven't yet. But yeah, that kind of thing's great. Learning how to apply it on the streets, sure. But no, he doesn't need to be taught how to be a detective, for crying out loud. Darkside Apex said, have you read the crossover Titans X-Men comic or New Gods versus Silver Surfer Hunger? No, I have not. I know they did a lot of those old crossovers back in the day. Are you talking to some classic ones or some new ones that they're putting out too? I don't read any new comics. I don't care what. It's just kind of as a principle, I don't read any new. The only new comics I'll read is completely divorced from new continuity, and if the idea and the creators are tried and true. Like, I'm very much looking forward to volume 2 of Superman 78. I waited until the whole first volume was out, got a wonderful hardcover edition, got Batman 89 too, but Batman 89 utterly sucked. Sam Hamm doesn't understand the character. He's just wanting to preach his ideology too. But Vendetti did a wonderful Superman 78 volume 1. I'm probably going to wait until all the issues come out and read it in a volume 2 set, because I just tend to enjoy stories more when I get the whole arc and I'm not just reading an issue at a time. It kind of gone are those days. I used to read comics like that, back in the day when they were still good and they were still being put out like that regularly. But yeah, I just got out of that habit. I'd rather have the whole story now. So I am looking forward to that. That's the only really caveat to like new stories, or like occasionally when they'll still do crossovers of like Batman 66 and Wonder Woman, or something like that. Leia Plus Size says, they say Nolan turned Batman into James Bond and everybody bought into it. Yeah, and I wouldn't even say strictly James Bond, because I think James Bond is more of a detective than Batman was in the Nolan films. I mean, that's just a blatantly missing component to that character. For all of the laud and laurels that people want to place on Nolan's Batman, he wasn't a detective. That's like one of the core parts of the character. You can't just not give him the detective aspect. Yeah. Owen Lister says, I know how we could save the MCU. We reboot the whole universe and make it animated. Maybe even start with a remake of Endgame. Yeah, please remake Endgame. But I like that idea of animated universe. I would be very much into a shared animated universe. And that might be the only way that comic book movies could really survive now that people have ran it into the ground. Um, the companies have just ran the genre into the ground to where people are tired of it needlessly. They didn't need to be tired of it. There was nothing about superhero movies in general that had a timestamp on it, but the mismanagement of it has ran it into the ground. But I think if you got right people behind it and you made an animated shared universe with because then you know this actor got too big for their britches or whatever, you could just recast him, you know. But yeah, that would be the way to go. Um, but it's not being done like the live action cinematic universe was. Oh, the classic comics, Dark Side Apok. Yeah, I read a lot of crossover classic comics back in the day. I don't seems like I might have read the Titans X-Men one, but it was so long ago. I have to dig them out in my long box. I've got a lot of stuff in storage that I need to find again because I was you know, we're still renovating. I still need to push this wall back. After the wedding, Sound Engraver and I were like, let's just be happy that we're not doing stuff right now, you know. So over this year, it is still some renovations that I want to do in our home and make some room for bringing out some more of my stuff, comics, and displaying them and whatnot. So yeah, I'll do that eventually. Um, Eldritch Fan says, I feel the same way about Endgame as you do about Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's an interesting take on it. The only difference is that the MCU hadn't established that there were different continuities, you know? The MCU is building up to a single continuity. But I do get what you're saying. And you've mentioned before how you kind of cut it some slack because you think it was the best we could have gotten. Yeah, well, listeners, I would love to make a Batman comic series in the Tim Burton universe, though I'd make some subtle changes to make him more like iconic Batman. That's what I was hoping the Batman 89 comic would be. Sam Hamm, you know, the writer of the first Batman script. I was really hoping. I was so bummed when I read it and just thought, this is so garbage. I mean, that Batman 89, the comic book, you get very little of Batman actually being Batman. Batman is just the old white guy who has to be whipped into shape by the minority kid and the woman. That's it. That's it. Batman is not Batman at all. He's just the old white guy, represents the patriarchy, the problematic whatever, and he has to be preached to and whipped into shape by minorities and women. That's Batman 89 for you. Have fun with that comic. It's garbage. It's straight hot garbage. And even with the ideology, it's not even a well-written story. You know, like some stories can infuriate you with the ideology, but at least they're kind of well written too. This just wasn't. It was horrible. It was awful. Yeah. Sound Engraver said, just posted my stream. It's take on what you discuss. It's a take on what I discussed here and quitting culture in general. Yeah, do check out Sound Engraver's stream tomorrow afternoon, probably about 5:45ish. That's when she usually streams. She can put the time there. 5:30, 5:45ish. That's usually when she streams on Sundays. So check out her stream there. I'm going to be logging off here in just a few. Dances with incels. I like that. Like that screen name there. Yeah, you are late. I'm about to sign off, but you got the replay. Matthew Flynn for £5. Thank you very much. So there are 4 main Warhammer books that are recommended to new readers: Horus Rising, Gaunt's Ghost, and The Infinite, and The Divine, and Caiaphas Cain. You know, one thing I appreciate you giving me those titles. It is hard for me sometimes to find, like I said, I've said this before, I listen at any given time, I'm reading a hard copy book, and then listening to an Audible book. Because of my schedule, I only have so much time a day or a week to actually sit down and read and focus on the hard copy book. But I think it's important to always be reading a hard copy book at any given time. But then I also listen to Audible books, like on my commutes and stuff like that. And I was in a string of books that were just awful. The book 2 of that Dan Simmons, The Children of Night, was garbage. Oh, I thought it was going to be good, and it started out, and it still had some problems, but I was like, maybe you'll pull it out like you did with Summer of Night. It didn't. It was just so boring, so horrible. Then I started reading another book that I thought was going to be good. It started out good. Again, that Sleepy Hollow, Gleaves, I think was the author's name. That was garbage too. So ridiculous. And so I was kind of wanting a win. I'm reading right now, or listening on Audible to what's it called? Twilight Eyes by Dean Koontz. It came up on a list of books that might kind of be like it. it's got a slow start, but then it got kind of interesting. But so my point is, I do need some recommendations on Audible. I don't know if any of those Warhammer books are on there, but if I ever try it, that might be where I try it first. So I appreciate you giving me some titles there. Well, that's just about it for me now, guys. Then, sorry, I know some of you guys like long live streams, and some people do. Fan Man will get on here and 2 hours easy minimum, and even that's low end of what a lot of live streamers do. They'll get on here and just talk all night. But I've just never been that person. I'm kind of wiped now. Plus, it's my Saturday evenings are my time to enjoy some dinner, enjoy some veg. I have a wife now, so it's not just me anymore. So, um, anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. Lynn Green, good to see you there as well, and appreciate it. I will check the comments later, and I will cut out parts of this as videos, and maybe get some more actually recorded, produced videos once I'm on break here after this week. That'd be nice for the Christmas break. But like I said again, wishing you guys a very happy Advent. Those who separate or celebrate, celebrate, and a happy Christmas season to the rest of you. And one more final super chat for the end. $10 super chat. You've made my Saturday night awesome. Wow, thank you, Ed Star. You always make my Saturday night awesome. Just your support. I mean, super chats are very much important, appreciated. But your support always means a lot, Ed Star. I appreciate you vocalizing it and all of that. So thank you so much. Hope your Saturday night continues to be awesome, as does your weekend. Thanks, everyone. And till next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue hero stories you love. And we will win this. We'll just make sure we know what we mean by winning this. Talk to you later.